I became popular in StarCraft episode 81-90. Thank you for everyone who pressed like and follow. It's an encouragement for each other. I apologize for the translation. You can donate at Capricorn Bank 02535200310. Then let's start. Episode 81, Wang Yu, 10th East Ring Road, Dragon and Phoenix Building. Ni Haofeng sat in the office, listening to his subordinate's report with great interest. Not bombed, how is that possible? Bombed, but not all of it exploded. Hao Feng, who was reporting, wiped his sweat with embarrassment. If it explodes, it explodes. If it doesn't explode, it doesn't explode. What does not all of it mean? Talk to me carefully. Brother Ni, our people have been watching from afar all night, but Princess Yi is fine and everyone left. But we took this photo. Ni Haofeng took out the mobile phone his younger brother gave him and watched the video recorded last night. This video was filmed remotely. The first few seconds were a dark night sky, then there was only a long purple light stretching across the sky from bottom to top, and flames erupted in the air. There was a sound of explosions. It was like fireworks. Don't tell me it exploded in the sky. Brother, we think it's evil, so the brothers don't dare to spread it. Ni Haofeng scrolled the progress bar and watched it repeatedly for a long time, but didn't see anything wrong with it. Okay, you go down first. The younger brother replied again and left the office. Ni Haofeng turned his head to look at the man sitting and drinking tea next to him. Brother Wang, what do you think? The man drinking tea was Deacon Wang, who came to Princess Yi to talk to Chu Yao that day. His real name was Wang Yu. Wang Yu picked up the phone and looked at the video. Moreover, he was very surprised and had no clue about the sudden situation. Check carefully and make a bold assumption. Wang Yu lightly tapped his fingers on the table. Our plan is very detailed and has almost no errors, but there are still accidents. What we know now is that first of all, the night that it was supposed to explode, the princess was still intact, and all their people had to be evacuated in the middle of the night. Which means that no matter what method was used, the people of the Cattail gang knew that there would be an explosion. Secondly, the ambulance arrived at the 9th Ring Road of the East last night, picked up the people near Princess Yi, and left, which means that even if there was no explosion. Finally, there was a large firework that exploded in the air. Ni Haofeng came to pour tea for Wang Yuxin. While listening, it seemed that the two were not in a simple relationship between a superior and a subordinate. Let's talk about the first hypothesis first. What kind of method did people use? Maybe they have talent in this aspect in their gang. The explosion in the sky is just a signal light, informing the nearby assistants and the headquarters of the major change. When did people still use this traditional signal light? Ni Hao sat down in his office chair after pouring tea. Yes, and since the founding of the Maowei gang, I have never heard of them using this kind of communication method. Wang Yu hesitated and continued. Now I want to talk about the second hypothesis. That is, someone or maybe a few people sent bombs into the sky, and the ones who threw the bombs into the sky were also injured, which would explain why only one ambulance went. How could one throw a bomb that high? I saw a height of that, it almost chased after the Qihang building. Ni Haofeng raised his eyebrows and thought. There are still methods, such as giant crossbows, drones, or light energy mechanisms. The interstellar train between Lingyuan Star and Winning Star will be connected soon. No wonder I got one or two. I understand the first two things you mentioned, but I don't know much about mechanics. Brother Wang, you also know that my old Ni was from Tianhai. I've only been to the second continent once. What's the gap? Is it really that big between Lingyuan and Boju? A large gap might not be a bad thing. Although Boju Xing is my hometown, it's too crowded. I still like this side. The advancement of technology will erase many things. When Wang Yu said this, his tone was a little heavy. Hey, I said too much. Which pot hasn't been opened yet, and which pot hasn't been mentioned yet? Let's not talk about this. Ni Haofeng knew that this younger brother Wang didn't want to mention his hometown, so he quickly interrupted. Then guess what? The Cattail gang sent a bomb into the sky with a drone. It's good that Chu Xiaoyi came up with this idea. It's fine, brother Ni. I've seen the past. Wang Yu picked up his teacup and took a sip. Actually, there might be a third possibility, which might sound a bit strange. Third one? Tell me. Half a year ago, a helicopter stormed the city area. Brother Ni couldn't believe it. Do you remember? Of course, I remember that incident was quite large and the Feishan circle was full. With video, Ni Haofeng paused. Is this related to Maowei gang? It is said that they were a few miners who escaped from the mine, hijacked a plane and escaped. Later, several arrest warrants were issued, but they were all revoked within 2 months. But the miracle is that after the revocation, the Cattail gang, it rose so quickly in the dark streets, which must have made people think. Quote, you mean, the Cattail gang was started by wanted criminals? Ni Haofeng racked his brains and tried his best to catch up. Wang Yu thought to himself. Brother Wang, speak up. If he was good at using his brain, he would not have asked Wang Yu to be his military advisor. Those prisoners were either convicted prisoners or foreign savages captured during the Yali Company's expedition. If a few barbarians escaped, it would make sense for them to send bombs into the sky. You mean those barbarians who fly? With swords, what can they do? Ni Haofeng said with disdain. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors could shoot them down from the sky with guns. In addition to their longevity, what's the use of Feijin? Brother Wang, your guess is outrageous. Quote, that's why I said that too. It's a bit strange. Wang Yu spread his hands. This is how ordinary people treat psychers, especially for ordinary people who have received little education. Their knowledge of psychers comes from history textbooks and movies, or novels and games, just like the colonization achievements of giant companies in the news. It is said that these barbarians can go to heaven and earth, but no one has ever seen it. Even if I met them, I don't know what their abilities are. They all look the same, but their lifespans are slightly longer than ordinary people, maybe only 100 years. Even in recent years, there have been many conspiracy theorists and historical nihilists in the civilizations of heaven and man, who think that the so-called war between immortals and humans is a sham, history is a lie, and the Grand Council is deceiving everyone. Many people still remember these kinds of words. For example, some organizations that verbally advocate peace and oppose the slave system that barbarians highly respect. This kind of school, under the slogan of Interstellar Peace, march and perform in the major cities of the main planets. The lives of the barbarians are also fate, calling on the Interstellar Corporation to stop the persecution of barbarians. Shen Yu, an insider, obviously knew more about these things than ordinary people. Who is right and who is wrong, who can tell? Sometimes the truth is not in the hands of the majority. However, now is a good opportunity. Wang Yu advised Ni Haofeng. Although the bomb did not damage the Maowei gang, it had the effect we wanted earlier. The Maowei gang's headquarters was evacuated to the north. The 9th ring of the east must be empty inside. We should find out who the injured person in Chu is. If it is Chu Shaoyi, their group's morale must be in chaos now, and they will seize this opportunity to enter the 9th ring of the east at their fingertips. Okay. Ni Haofeng looked happy. I have brother Wang here, so why worry about failure? It's all up to you. Mobile phone users, please browse and read. Palmistry is more convenient. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 82 Secret Agent. 6th Ring Road, Tianhai 3rd Central Hospital. Chu Yao was lying on the hospital bed with his eyes closed, with various tools and bottles hanging from her body. Outside the ward, Yao Han and the little girl were guarding the door. It was 10 o'clock in the morning, and Zhang Lu was on night duty, and he had just changed shifts. How is Sister Chu's situation? Chen Qingyu sent a message through Feishan. The doctor said that the current situation has stabilized. I will be admitted to the hospital for observation for a period of time. Sister Chu's self-healing ability should be fine. Yao Han held the phone with both hands, typing on the screen. Okay, I will leave you there and be careful. I can't leave the 9th Ring Road for now. According to Xiao Ran's advice, some people seem to be holding back. Who? ? Quote. There are some unknown movements in the south, and you should pay more attention to the hospital. I will send someone to find you in the afternoon. Understood. Yao Han put down the phone, and, standing still in front of the door, his eyes continuously watching the traffic doctors and patients. The cold corridor was filled with the smell of disinfectant. At first, he was not used to it, but later he got used to it. Brother Yao, aren't you nervous? The little girl brushed Fei Yu beside her. This is an inner circle, and no one should be able to attack this pair of sisters. Be careful, Yao. Han looked at her screen inattentively. It seemed to be a beauty blogger. He didn't really care about these things. To him, a mobile phone was just the convenient communication device was no different from the voice signaling symbols he had used before. When he had time to watch the video, Yao Han liked to close his eyes and rest. There was a faint knock-knock of footsteps from afar, and a masked female nurse pushed a small cart across from the other side of the corridor and stopped in front of the two. Are you a family member? I came to change a patient's medicine. The girl didn't think anything was wrong, so she opened the door for this person. The nurse was pushing the cart and was about to enter when Yao Han suddenly stopped her with an outstretched arm. Wait, what's wrong? I'm just a nurse, don't be so nervous. Quote, today I've already identified all the nurses on the day shift on this floor. Why haven't I seen you before? In fact, just this person's words were enough for Yao Han to suspect her identity. Ah, Xiao Li, goodbye. I'm here instead. The nurse shook the work card around her neck. Stop pretending. Your performance is too clumsy. Yao Han winked at his sister, and the latter reflected at this moment, and slowly walked towards the back of this person as if he was facing a terrifying enemy. What do you want to do? It won't get any better if you delay your illness. The female nurse continued to look into the ward as she spoke. Do it. Yao Han was too lazy to talk nonsense with this person, and as ordered, the little girl behind him hugged her neck. The female nurse had long since assumed a defensive stance against her rear-end attack, and when she crouched down, the little girl ran away. Then, she pushed the cart in front of her towards Yao Han in front of her, turned her head, and ran away. While running, she took out her mobile phone from her trouser pocket, trying to send someone a message. The series of movements was smooth and fluid, but unfortunately, she was fast, and someone was faster than her. Yao Han immediately jumped over the cart, and while running, kicked his feet against one of the walls, his body bounced out, and he was in front of the female nurse in an instant. When he jumped down, he kicked the young nurse's leg whose wrist was numb, and the phone was kicked out, spinning and sliding on the ground for a long distance. The little girl who ran in pushed him from behind, and the man fell to the ground and was caught by him. Yao Han bent down to pick up her mobile phone, and saw that there was a 1 printed in the message column, and it might be sent out in the next second. Take her in first. Yao Han looked around, but he didn't seem to find her accomplice. Everything happened so quickly, there was no chaos, and no one noticed that there was a fight here. The little girl dragged the fake nurse into the bathroom in Chu Yao's ward, and took out a rope to tie her hands behind her back. Yao Han followed. Lock the door first, and tell Shu Binger and the others what happened. Quote, okay, brother Yao. The little girl looked at the fake nurse carefully, and then went outside to lock the door. What are you doing? You're committing a crime. The fake nurse struggled while sitting on the toilet. Are you still pretending now? Why do you think I'm not a nurse? Yao Han pointed at her feet. Nurses don't know how to wear high heels. Quote ellipsis quote. The fake nurse was speechless, as if she didn't expect that she was here. Something went wrong. Who sent you here? The girl bit her lip tightly, as if she didn't want to say anything. Yao made a cold face, pulled out a black dagger from his waist, and swung it at the girl's face, knocking off a few strands of hair. This dagger was a weapon made from spider legs that Chu Yao had obtained before, and the gang members called it the Black Dagger. The woman was shocked, the cold breath from the blade made her whole body tremble, and she stopped struggling. I don't have time to bother you. I'll give you 3 numbers, and if you don't answer my questions, you will die. Quote, this is the inner ring, this is a hospital. How dare you kill people here? 3. Yao Han didn't care about what she said at all, and started counting down. You don't have to scare me here. I won't say it. 2. The woman's back was covered in cold sweat, and the expressionless Yao Han pressed her down hard, making her not dare to look at it directly. Her hands were trembling, indicating that she was afraid. 1. Yao Han tilted his wrist, and a cold blade was stabbed into her neck. I said it. This is Ni Haofeng. As the pain shot up her neck, the woman finally screamed uncontrollably. Yao Han's eyes lit up, and he pulled out the knife. Stop her bleeding. I'm going to die. You Maowei gang are a madman. The woman covered her bleeding neck with her hands, her eyes widening in horror. The little girl at the side found a roll of bandages from the room and wrapped it around her neck. Her twice in a daze. It's not tied directly, you gave me a medical kit. The woman was shocked when she saw the white bandages dyed red and more blood flowing on her hands and upper body. She looked very strange, terrifying. Crazy? Yao Han tilted his head. He thought it was fine. Maybe the people in Tianyan sect have their own crazy. Chu Yao was very dark, Shu Binger was crazy, Yao Han was very calm. You answer my question first, and it will help you take care of your wound naturally. Quote, I told you, what else do you want me to say? The young woman felt that her life was passing by every minute and every second. Just her? There's another caller. The van downstairs, the license plate number is A35H2C. The panicked young woman confessed everything like a cannonball, but she still remembered the license plate number clearly. What did Ni Haofeng send you here for? Find out who the injured person is. What does 1 on the phone mean? 1 is the gang leader, Chu Xiaoyi, 2 is not. Then what are you going to do after asking for news? Yao Han could hear the sense of an impending storm in her words. I really don't know about this matter. Please help me stop the bleeding. The girl's breathing became weaker and weaker as if she only had 1 breath left. Can you stop the bleeding? Yao Han turned his head to look at his younger sister, whose head was shaking like a rattle. Then take her to the emergency room. I don't want that either. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 83, The Great War. The little girl carried Haofeng, who was as angry as a spider web, and helped the spy to the hospital's emergency room. Yao Han remained in the ward, notifying Chen Qingyu and Shu Binger who were waiting nearby to come and control the situation here. After a while, Shu Binger sent a message. Brother, the car downstairs is controlled by us, and it's the same as the spies you caught. Yao Han turned to look at Chu Yao who was still in a coma. And couldn't help but clench his fists tightly. Unexpectedly, Xiaohuo really predicted it, and it was Haofeng gang who did this. The Yutu gang had just been eliminated, and the 10th ring road in the west was still warm, so Ni Haofeng thought of the Maowei gang's territory. Yao Han didn't wait for Chen Qingyu's reply, but saw the numerous orders he had issued in the general group. He was mobilizing troops, and all the mobilization sites were at the intersection of the 9th and 10th rings. Yao Han realized that there might be a tough battle, so he asked Chen Qingyu to fight. His fight request was not allowed. Yao Han, you can't move, Sister Chu's safety is more important now. Quote, then let Zhang Lu and Shu Binger go there, I'll stay here alone. Okay. After receiving the confirmed reply, Yao Han sighed in relief, tiptoed out and closed the door softly. Although he couldn't go to the front line, since the deputy gang leader had given the order, he could only follow. Yao Han rubbed the blood-stained black knife with a tissue paper and placed it back on his waist. Looking at the bright red paper ball in his hand, he secretly felt that perhaps this battle would determine the future direction of Dark Street, East Ring Road. At the 9th Jing Street, this place was still as peaceful as ever. People were walking around here and there, busy with their own lives. A few fat little birds were perched on the big trees. They fluttered their wings and flew away in fright, leaving a series of shadows on the ground that gradually disappeared. On the road, dozens of pitch-black cars drove over with screams like a herd of warhorses, breaking the silence here. The motorcade stopped on the side of the road. Men and women in hard clothes got off the cars, taking out various weapons from the back of the cars. Each of them had ribbons tied around their arms, with cute cat faces and tails sticking out. Seeing the terrifying appearance of this group of people, the people passing by nearby all turned away from this place of right and wrong. The middle-aged leading man in a black suit and sunglasses was none other than Chen Qingyu. As the deputy leader of the gang, he had come to the front to personally command, which was enough to prove the importance of this battle. The young ponytail gang rushed towards him, surrounded him, and waited for his words. Everyone knows that Princess Yi was attacked for no reason last night. Chen Qingyu shouted loudly. Now, according to the Maoyan Church, we have confirmed that the mastermind behind this attack is the Haofeng gang, Ni Haofeng. Princess Yi is the foundation of our Maowei gang, and it is also Sister Chu's home. Now, this reckless Ni Haofeng wants to destroy our home, can we swallow him up? HNO. In Chen Qingyu's words, after shouting, a roar of explosions rang out from the crowd. This roar was like a stimulating bullet that pierced the chests of every gang member. Everyone was infected by this anger, holding their weapons tightly in their hands, and their eyes were filled with a deathly aura. We took the 8th East Ring Road, defeated the Yutu gang, killed Ding Nan, and eliminated Zhou Cheng. The Haofeng gang is just a small outlet of the Yutu gang. Can we let them bully us? Who killed Zhou Cheng is still Unclear, but this did not prevent Chen Qingyu from this incident to cheer for the rescuers. No, the crowd shouted in unison again. Alright, let the Haofeng gang's shrimp soldiers and crab generals see who is the master of this dark road. After speaking, Chen Qingyu walked towards the target location with hundreds of people. According to Chen Qingyu's setup, this operation was divided into 3 groups. Gong Xiaoran and Lin Wu led a team of 150 people, Chen Qingyu led a team of 200 people, Xu Binger and Zhang Lu led a team of 200 people from the left and center respectively. 3 directions from right to south, launching an impact from the East 9th Ring Road to the East 10th Ring Road. The goal of the 3 groups was the Haofeng gang's important stronghold on the East 10th Ring Road, and the ultimate goal was the center of the East 10th Ring Road, the Haofeng gang's hinterland. The Dragon and Phoenix Tower. In addition to the 3-way army of 550 people, another 50 people were divided into several mobile teams, moving around among the armies, covering and supporting them at any time. The remaining 50 people were responsible for guarding the houses and defending the Liunan gang on the West 8th Ring Road. When Chen Qingyu received accurate information from Yao Han, he immediately decided to go to war. Ni Haofeng was ambitious. Externally, he had reached a truce with Chu Yao, but privately, he often has tactics and is ready to make a move. Instead of fighting passively, it is better to take the initiative. The 2 armies are facing each other. The battle situation is changing rapidly, and opportunities are disappearing quickly. Since you, Ni Haofeng, are preparing for battle without flinching, then I will seize the opportunity that you still send troops and seize the lead. Chen Qingyu did not hide it either. This is a one-on-one confrontation, and the battle depends on the strength of both parties. Under the training of many masters, the members of the Maowei gang have been improving their martial arts day by day. In addition, they have experienced many bloody battles. In terms of individual quality, they are not inferior to the younger brother of the Haofeng gang, and they even have a slight advantage. Coupled with the weapons and equipment seized after several victories, the Maowei gang is no longer the poor and white Maowei gang. This is what Chen Qingyu is certain of. The final destination of the 200 men he brought is the electronics factory in the center. This electronics factory gathers the main forces of the Haofeng gang, which can be said to be of the highest importance. If you can win here, it can be said that you have won half of the battle, and Longfenglu is within reach. The Eastern Division was intercepted by the enemy. The exchange of fire has begun. The Western Division was ambushed at Rong Chen's restaurant. 10 divisions are covering the flanks. Be careful to dodge the bullets. All they have to do is create a gap to intercept the enemy. The voice came from the front of the crowd, and Chen Qingyu knew that his team had also encountered the enemy. There was also a solemn look in his eyes. Since you dare to participate in the assassination, then taste the consequences of the failed assassination. Chen Qingyu, this is really a good plan. This is a conspiracy. In the office of the Longfeng building, several phone calls rang out one after another. Ni Haofeng and Wang Yu, as well as the backbone of several gangs, were presiding over the battle at the big table. On the table was a map of the city that had been enlarged several times. Wang Yu was holding a pencil, writing and drawing through the information sent from the various strongholds. Left, center, right, 3-way army. This forces us to split into 3 groups to confront the enemy. The old people calmly carried out various orders to block the opponent's advance. The key is in the electronics factory in Zhonglu. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 84 entering, Wang Yu drew a circle on the map. Half of our manpower is here. If we quickly divide our forces, the electronics factory will be empty. When it is occupied by the opponent, the consequences are imaginable. But both sides cannot ignore. If they are allowed to drive straight in, the electronics factory will eventually be surrounded, the Haofeng gang's core leader said beside him. Yes, if we gather our forces here, we will eventually be surrounded, so isn't it okay for both sides to stop? Can you send a few teams to go around? Behind them? Ni Haofeng asked. He clicked on the location of the 9th East Ring Road. Yes, but it shouldn't be allowed due to time. Wang Yu smiled immediately. The Cattail gang is really confident, and we can't beat them. Then what should we do? Ni Haofeng raised his eyebrows and looked at Wang Yu. Drag? That's right, now is not the time to hesitate to waste bullets. Even if we run out of bullets, we must drag them down. The Cattail gang wants to confront them head-on and fight hand-to-hand, so we won't let them go. They can do as they please. Wang Yu marked several strongholds on the map. Our reserves can last at least a whole day. Just drag them to these places and wait for them to retreat before the backyard fire. At that time, we will wait at ease. And these hundreds of people will be in our pockets. Brother Wang, you didn't say it's too late to go anywhere behind them? Wang Yu spun the pen in his hand. It seemed that he was about to win. Appearance. Do you still remember the spy you sent to the hospital this morning, Brother Ni? But the spy hasn't replied yet. If there is no reply, it means that the problem has been explained. I am 90% sure that the injured person, the suspect, must be Chu Xiaoyi, the head of the Maowei gang. Oh, if so. Ni Haofeng's eyes flashed with a fierce light. Don't worry, I have already arranged enough people in advance, Brother Ni. You just need to think about whether the new home is nobleman Zai Lian or Princess Yi. Hearing this, Ni Haofeng was overjoyed. And at the same time, he was also glad. This military strategist who knew things like a god was a little more respectful. Brother Wang, don't worry. When my old man occupies the dark road, you can choose a place in the 3rd ring. Wang Yu smiled and waved his hand, and his gaze returned to the map in front of him. He valued the victory of this game more than the external objects. Go ahead, Deputy Chief Chen, what are you going to do next? The 10th East Ring Road in the abandoned community that was not finished. The sparsely populated dilapidated houses were now filled with dust and gunpowder smoke everywhere. Occasionally, there would be violent explosions in the ruins, and mud and rocks floated in the air with thick smoke. If ordinary people passed by here, they would definitely think that they had wandered into the battlefield of the Great War. However, there was no difference between here and the real battlefield. A burly man walked towards the garage with his short body under the broken wall as cover. There were 4 or 5 people behind him, crouching forward like him, and 2 of them were still injured. Master Chen, the direction at 3 o'clock is full of guards. There are at least 20 of them. The one who came was Li Dayan. He followed Chen Qingyu's instructions to check ahead, but was blocked by the enemy and eventually escaped. I understand. Hurry up and help the injured treat their wounds. After Chen Qingyu had sorted out the injured, he looked at the map in front of him with a solemn expression. The map was filled with countless words, and he drew 2 red lines in the 3 o'clock direction. He had thought that this battle would be as easy as the battle at the 8th Eastern Ring Road before, but he had not expected that the Haofeng group would react so quickly, sending a large number of troops to a major intersection and cornering them here. It seemed that the Yutu gang was not filled with wine bags and rice bags like Ding Nan. Ni Haofeng must have advisors who were skilled in this way. At the same time, news of obstacles came from both the left and right, and the Maowei gang's army was temporarily stuck in half. Hearing the sound of gunfire in his ears, it seemed that the other party had run out of ammunition and spare weapons, and wanted to ambush them here. But when ammunition was always out, when both parties had no guns to use, they still could not fight in close combat. In the end, it was the Maowei gang who took the initiative. Chen Xingyu kept thinking, and the patrol team rushed back outside amidst the barrage of bullets, bringing him new information. No, they avoided confrontation so much, not because they were afraid, but because they wanted to stall for time. Although I don't know the purpose of the other party's delay now, if the deadlock continues, it would be in the hands of the other party. These places are the only places to go to the electronics factory. It is obvious that the guerrilla method is impossible. The terrain of the 10th ring was still very different from the 8th ring. At least the 8th ring road still looked like a city, and the roads were orderly, so they could use cars to travel between buildings in the previous raid. After all, the 10th ring was equivalent to the suburbs of Tianhai City. Except for the 2 or 3 main roads, the rest were all single-story, 2-story and 3-story houses. Although there were buildings over 6 stories, there were very few. Moreover, many of the roads had been dilapidated for a long time, not to mention difficult to drive and very narrow, especially since the other party had set up several roadblocks. So many cars could not drive in. They forced. The location of the electronics factory was surrounded by multi-story bungalows, which could be described as easy to defend but difficult to attack. Now, the other party was using guns to force this party to come out and fight on the street, trying to drag everyone to die in the alley. A decision had to be made, and there was no more delay. If it dragged on, who knew what accident would happen? Chen Xingyu spread out the map, chose the smallest point among the dense red lines, drew an arrow fiercely, took a photo with his mobile phone, and issued a mobilization order in the group. Everyone in the Central Division and Unit, gather the units at 11 o'clock and break through. After receiving the order, all the teams scattered across the battlefield gathered to the designated positions while shooting for cover. Haofeng's little brother who was guarding elsewhere saw that the other party had retreated, so he did not come out to chase him. But just stay where he is, after all, their order is to hold the position. Chen Xingyu also walked with the crowd, looking at the narrow fork in the direction of 11 o'clock, he could not help but sigh in his heart. This might be a bloody battle. He sighed in his stomach, his face showed the same determination as ever, and his step forward was full of determination. This way has come to the present, it must go forward. Although he was good at strategy, he was not a warlike and bloodthirsty person. Coming to this stage was no longer just to repay Chu Yao for saving his life. He watched the Maowei gang with his own eyes, step by step until today, it was like watching his child from childhood to adulthood. Before he knew it, the Maowei gang weighed as much in his heart as the former Tianyan sect. He was destroyed by the sky, but the new Maowei gang gave him another hope, another hope. I hope to see it firmly establish itself in the dark Tianhai road, stand proudly in the source of the soul, and stand proudly in this world. And he, Chen Xingyu, would never let this hope disappear again. The tragedy of the Tianyan sect will not happen again. Chen Qingyu kept gathering the crowd while walking, then suddenly thought of something and sent a message to Yao Han. There might be changes in the hospital, be careful. Mobile phone users, please browse and read. Palmistry is more convenient. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 85, Yao Han. Accident? Yao Han became cautious again when he saw the message from Chen Xingyu. He also saw that the current battle situation seemed to have reached a dead end in the group chat that had been temporarily started to give orders, and the situation was not very good. Although I was worried, I was not on the front line now. It was useless to worry. Could it be that someone was sneaking up on me? But this was a hospital or an inner ring, even if the Haofeng gang dared to do so. Yao Han thought for a moment, then used Fishan to call the 5 nearby Peacock gang girls. These 5 were the only ones he could call. Then he went to the hospital and transferred Chu Yao to a new ward. The original ward was on the 4th floor, but now it has been moved to the 5th floor on the top floor. Since the previous spies didn't know how to find it, the original ward might have been exposed, so it's better to be careful. Actually, the best way is to directly transfer to another hospital, but Chu Yao was still lying there, and she couldn't torture her for a long time. Yao Han stared at the several nurses who had pushed Chu Yao to the new ward. No matter what, it was always good to prevent trouble before it happened. He looked out the window, although the 5th floor wasn't too high, he could see everything in the vicinity in a panoramic view. A wide elevated road stretched east and west, and continuous traffic flowed through the road. The flowers, trees, and plants on the green strip were neatly trimmed. The green color showed the vitality of the metropolis. The distant high-rise buildings were scattered in the forest, and the glass windows of the 100-meter-high buildings were arranged diagonally as one piece, like a mirror standing on the ground, reflecting the cityscape in the sunlight. Everything was reflected. Everything here was different from the dark street, as if it were two worlds, but there were only a few streets between the two. Looking at everything outside the window, Yao Han also felt puzzled. The past events regarding Feng Yuanxing were still clear in his mind, as if he was still searching for ancient books in the Gongfa Pavilion in the sect yesterday. And today he had arrived in a foreign heaven society. Everything seemed like a dream. He looked at the blue sky leisurely, as if he saw his hometown through the stratus clouds and the sea of darkness. Tian Zhao and the like were titles given to him by others. In Yao Han's view, compared to others, he worked harder. He was born into an aristocratic family, but he didn't have the effeminacy and fawning of the children of aristocratic families. Because he saw through the struggles between families and the coldness and warmth of the people, but he didn't have this ambition. Therefore, since the day he was selected into the Tianian sect, he had been practicing diligently. He was practicing when the children of other aristocratic families were walking through the market in grandeur. He was practicing when the senior brothers were admiring the moon and walking around looking at birds. A short experience didn't mean the end of him. Where was the end? Maybe it was becoming an immortal. Maybe it was a long life. For him, he just wanted to see the vast path of heaven. Up until now, he was still trying to practice his own skills and break the confinement set by heaven and man. Yao Han knew that sooner or later, Chu Yao would tell them the secret of restoring his cultivation, but he couldn't bet everything on this senior. It wasn't distrust, it was just that he had to plan ahead. As the power gradually increased, the enemies that the Cattail gang encountered might become stronger and stronger in the future, and this time, things might happen again. He closed the curtains and looked back at Chu Yao's face that had lost some blood. The latter was sleeping soundly on the bed. The universe was vast. Who knew if there were beings stronger than heaven and man in this sea of stars? It was impossible for them to trust this elder Chu to settle things every time. After all, no matter how powerful she was only a person. The conspiracy that happened this time was a reminder to everyone. They could not stay under Chu Yao's protection for a short while, but find a way to make themselves stronger. Although it was not much to share, at least it could not hold her back. Yao Han locked the door, crossed his legs, and began to try to enter a calm state. He had been personally taught by Elder Muxian, that was the disciple of Chen Muyao, the elder of Yuanying, and all the spells he practiced were also given to him. The kung fu he practiced in the origin was called Yu Li Fei Shuang Ju, which was a kung fu method that combined water and wood, which was suitable for his water and wood spiritual roots. Ever since he was captured and sealed by the Yali Company's spaceship, he had tried to use the Yuli flying frost art to break through time, but to no avail. After he was rescued by Chu Yao, the magic she used had given Yao Han some inspiration. While on a mission, he had also carefully observed Chu Yao's movements. Although the latter might have noticed his abnormality, he didn't seem to care. As long as there was a chance, he would ponder over the various spells Chu Yao had revealed, trying to learn from them how to restore her cultivation. Soul Sealing Blade, Shadow Embedding Technique, Small Teleportation. Some were Chu Yao's famous signature skills, and some were the heretical ways of the evil road. But they all had something in common, that is, whenever she cast a spell, Yao Han would always feel a chill. It was a very thick yin qi. Elder Chu's spiritual power had a chilling power, which might be related to her body, skills, and spiritual roots. But Yao Han had seen Chu Yao use his powerful methods to chase people down to Fengyuan Star before, but he had never felt the chill that penetrated his bone marrow like it did now. If he guessed correctly, this change in spiritual power might be the key to restoring his cultivation. The strength of a priest's spiritual power was only related to his cultivation base and skills. Her cultivation should have only recovered to the qi refining level by now, but her spiritual power was even more intense than nascent soul. Could it be that the change from moderate to severe was the key? While he didn't know if he was right, he had to give it a try. Yao Han sat quietly on the spot, squeezing Shi Wu's hand, feeling the world inside, trying to gather the C consciousness in his body. But after a long time, there was still no sign. Alas, maybe I was too hasty. He looked up at Chu Yao again, who was snoring softly. She was still muttering something, as if she was talking. Or was she waiting for Elder Chu to wake up and ask her personally? Yao Han was still thinking about the possibilities of this matter. When the notification came from his trouser pocket, he took out his mobile phone and saw a message from the female guard downstairs. No good, Brother Yao, there are about 10 men in black with weapons coming in. They should be from the Hao Feng gang. The lobby on the first floor is in a mess, even the security guards can't stop them. Can't these people just sit still? Don't be alarmed, look at how many other people are from the other party, did they go upstairs? 20 in total people, they are divided into 4 or 5 teams, and now they are searching for people from one door to another. The action is very fast, and it doesn't take long to go up to the second floor. Mobile phone users, please browse and read the palm reading, it's more convenient. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 86 Bloody Battle. Yao Han was stunned for a moment. He thought that Chu Yao's room number was exposed, but he didn't expect the other party to use such a stupid method. Although this method is stupid, it works. There are countless wards in the hospital, and they search one by one, and they can always find it here. They should be here for Sister Chu, right? What should we do? Do we have to go up? No, don't act rashly. You'll attract attention if you rush upstairs now. Yao Han quickly knocked on the screen. You're upstairs. Let's see if anyone answers. Let me stay upstairs. By the way, don't forget to call the police. He clearly thought that this was the inner ring of Tian City. Hi, no matter how crazy the Haofeng gang was, they had to weigh whether they could defeat the Law Enforcement Bureau or not. Yao Han walked out of the ward, closed the door, and chose to go downstairs to face the enemy head-on or wait around. He could fight without any pretense, but he wasn't stupid enough to face the beatings of a dozen people alone. And Chu Yao couldn't do it without people. The best case scenario was that before the Haofeng gang searched the 5th floor, the law enforcement officers came to drive them away. But the reality was not very pleasant. The little girl who was watching kept sending information, and this group of people would soon reach the 5th floor. A loud voice came from the other side of the corridor. What are you doing? This is a hospital. Ah. A doctor in a white coat stopped in front of a group of Haofeng gang boys, but was pushed down by one of them on the ground. This group of social youths were wearing black coats, very arrogant, holding iron pipes and sharp knives in their hands, causing the doctors and nurses to be terrified. The patients in the corridor saw this scene and hurriedly hid back into their wards. Yao Han looked behind him. The new ward was at the end of the corridor, and there was no exit except for a locked fire exit. Wow, this was a real fight. He had thought about asking for help from the foreigners, but now the battle between the two gangs was at a critical moment. If they asked for help in a disorderly manner, it would be the biggest change to the Maowei gang. Yao Han took a deep breath, pulled out the black knife at his waist, and adjusted himself to the best condition. The Haofeng gang members were getting closer and closer. There were 4 to 5 of them in this group. It seemed that the other teams were still searching on other floors. When the distance between them was almost 2 wards apart, someone finally noticed a man who seemed to be standing at the end of the corridor. Wait a minute, that's... The boy from the Haofeng gang squinted his eyes and looked carefully. He's Yao's instructor from the Maowei gang. Haha, brothers, come over, the gang leader shouted. Thinking of the many rewards he had gained from finding a suitable place, he couldn't help but feel happy, and he was about to pick up his mobile phone to call all his brothers. But before he could react, Yao Han on the opposite side moved. Yao Han was like a cheetah hunting prey, his body exploded, the black knife in his hand turned over. And the mobile phone in his younger brother's hand fell into the air with a few bloody and severed fingers. My hand, Hao Feng, who wanted to shake people, retreated to help his suffering younger brother, and roared angrily, kill him, which Chu's ward is ahead. The other 4 people immediately became alert, and one person was behind. They started sending messages to the conspirators, and the other 3 waved their weapons to attack Yao Han. The sunlight outside the window shone on the iron pipes and sharp knives in their hands along the windows, and the originally quiet hospital became a battlefield of close combat. Yao Han stepped back with his right foot, turned his body to the side, avoided the iron pipe swinging in front of him, and stomped his left leg hard. The mobile phone that had just fallen to the ground spun around and hit the bridge of this person's nose like a hidden weapon. He staggered back a few steps. The sharp blade on the left hit Yao Han. He stretched out his right hand and reached out to grab it on the windowsill of the corridor. He held a flower pot the size of a person's head in his hand and threw it at the person on the left. He was interrupted and retreated. The younger brother on the right took this opportunity to slash Yao Han's chest with a sharp knife, cutting a hole in his clothes. Yao Han's expression gradually became solemn. He took 3 steps back to distance himself from his opponent, but the 2 did not chase after him, but held the knife to his chest, waiting for reinforcements. These people were different from the U2 gang members I had met before. They were agile and responsive. They could also work together, and their comrades were not careless when they were injured. From their strong bodies and the fish skin on their hands, it could be seen that these people must have been practicing martial arts for many years. Son. It seemed that although these people were not the backbone of the Haofeng gang, they were also at the top of the class. The sound. The footsteps of many people could be heard from a distance, and their people quickly gathered, and the corridor was crowded in. They were blocked by them. 4 or 5 people stood up at the same time, waving their weapons. Yao Han changed his playstyle, no longer taking the initiative to attack, but focusing on defense, looking for a chance to fight in the chaos. This corridor was not wide, although there were many people on the other side. Only 5 people could use the most force, and most of the people behind them were barking, gritting their teeth, and shouting a few words. As long as I am not surrounded, I have the advantage. Fortunately, the other party did not seem to be holding a gun. It seemed that no matter how arrogant the other party was, they knew the limit of using a gun in the inner circle, which was to let the Law Enforcement Bureau handle it. The clash of weapons, a series of clinking sounds echoed in the corridor, mixed with the meaningless shouts of the Haofeng gang boys. The 5th floor of the hospital was already in chaos. Yao Han was like a door god, using the black knife in his hand to continuously fight back, resisting the surging attacks. His clothes were torn to shreds. His limbs were more or less stained, sweat and blood mixed together, but he didn't say a word. He stabbed the knife into the chest of the Haofeng gang's elite with the back of his hand, then held the knife and managed to kill it and fly out to cut off the other person's ear. At this moment, he could see the specialty of the black knife. Compared to all the ordinary cold weapons in the hands of the opponent, the black knife was obviously sharper. Its strength and toughness were excellent. If it was an ordinary steel knife, the curling iron blade would have been scraped off. The high-ranking people fell, and the people behind them followed closely. This group of people seemed to be indifferent to their fear. Even though their 3 comrades had fallen, they still hurriedly got up while shouting. They didn't know what reward Ni Haofeng had promised them. Yao Han's face suddenly became dizzy, his heart skipped a beat, and he saw something behind the crowd pointing at him. Without hesitation, the black knife in his hand swept across his chest, opening and closing, swinging the weapons of the people in front of him. His legs stopped, and the iron bridge narrowly avoided the oncoming hidden weapon. The hidden weapon was as fast as lightning, and with a whistling wind, it cut through his cheek. And Yao Han's forehead was cold, and a bloody mouth appeared. If he had been a little slower, he would have been stabbed in the head by this thing. He stretched and faced the enemy again, and in the gap between the counterattacks, he saw what was shooting a hidden weapon. A yellow-haired boy from the Haofeng gang held a barrel as long as his forearm in his hand and was about to reach for it. What was inside? Bang! He knew that the opponent did not dare to use a gun, but he did not expect such a long-range attack. You guys are really awesome, Yao Han said calmly, and this was the first sentence he had said to these people since the beginning of the fight. Stop talking nonsense. You hacked my younger brother to death, and then you died. The members of the Haofeng gang rushed forward with red eyes. Knowing that the opponent had a hidden weapon such as a blowout dart, be more careful. But the progress of this matter was not as positive as Yao Han had thought. The yellow-haired boy hid in the crowd and could not be found for a while. In addition, the wound on his forehead was continuously bleeding. Yao Han was careless for a moment, and the flowing blood flowed into his eyes, blurring his vision. Reckless. His vision was obscured, the situation became more and more indifferent, and the opponent's front line did not give Yao Han time to wipe himself. The knife light shone down, and he used his instincts to block and dodge the opponent's attack. The whistle sounded again, this time Yao Han could not dodge. He finally saw the shape of the hidden weapon. It was a conical iron dart with a feathered tail, and the iron dart shot into his chest like a crossbow arrow. A sharp pain came from the right abdomen, and Yao Han's body slowed down a few beats. Normally, this would not be considered a serious injury, but Yao Han had been fighting a bloody battle for a long time. His physical strength was gradually depleted. And his movements slowed down uncontrollably. This slowness gave the opponent a chance. During the chaotic battle, no one showed any mercy. Yao Han was stabbed in the left shoulder and right arm, and his clothes were soaked in bright red blood, making him almost a blood-stained person. A reddish color blurred before his eyes, and he could no longer see clearly, only feeling a cold and solemn whistling sound coming from above his head. It was the sound of steel pipes waving in the air. If he was hit in the head, he would have no power to fight. Move! Yao Han's body trembled in time, but the steel blades piercing his body were like nails that pinned him down. The elite of the Haofeng gang would make his wish come true. How could this be true? I'm going to die here? He tried his best not to think about it, but the miserable ending he was about to face uncontrollably appeared in his mind. The past scene flashed like a spinning lantern before his eyes. He thought of the envy of everyone in the audience on the day he was accepted into the sect. He remembered the kindness and seriousness in the eyes of Elder Chu Yao, Chu Binger, who was surrounded by her like a fool. Hey, I'm dying but I still think of you. Big brother, why are you so quiet? Big brother, there's a big event at the foot of the mountain, but it's so lively. Should we go together? Big brother, this is the longevity pill I got from your last mission, half of it. The scene in his eyes kept changing, and those calls weren't just from Chu Binger, but also from the many people he had met. Junior Yao, Little Yao, Big brother Yao. I've been walking alone for so long. I'm used to walking alone. When I was about to die, Yao Han also realized that he was not alone all the time. The memories kept coming back to the day the Tianyan sect was destroyed, to the day his cultivation was sealed by the methods of heaven and man, to the day he was demoted to the Chu Binger mine, where Zhao Li took him hostage and injured him, crying to him with tears, shouting, Yao Han, you can't kneel. Yao Han's body started to tremble violently. Countless thoughts swept through his mind like a storm. His chest rose and fell rapidly with him, breathing as if something was blocking his throat, forcing him to shout and howl. Drink. Ah. He grabbed the black knife in his hand again, and shook his arm hard to the side, forcing the Haofeng gang's elite who tried to stab him to death to return. With intense pain throughout his body turned to the side, and the steel pipe that had hit his head hit his shoulder. The steel pipe twisted with a huge reaction force, but Yao Han ignored it and pierced his heart with the knife under the other party's astonished eyes. Yao Han. He wiped his eyes with his hands, and red blood splashed onto the window. When he stepped into the mountain gate at the age of 16, Yao Han still had a dagger and dart stuck in his body, but he ignored them and charged straight at the crowd like a wild animal. Refining chi at the age of 18. He turned his left hand, pulled out a kitchen knife from his body, and slashed at his younger brother who was hitting him. With a howl, the severed hand that was still holding the weapon flew into the air. At the age of 24, GNG had been cut on his body several times, and every time he breathed, he could smell a strong smell of blood in his nose, but he was not afraid at all. It was as if he had no feeling of pain. He swung himself at someone and tore off their ears with his teeth. 39 years of cultivating the Tao. The eyes of these elite of the Haofeng gang finally showed fear, and some of them had already retreated. From their perspective, this person in front of them was simply a madman. How could he be defeated by ordinary people? He stared fiercely at this group of people with blood-stained eyes. More than half of the 20 people had been killed by him. Before Yao Han could speak, his chest was sore and he almost fell to the ground. He supported his body with the black knife in his hand, and spat out a large mouthful of blood, which made the blood splattered on the passage even more fishy. The younger brother who was about to retreat saw this scene, rolled his eyes, and suddenly shouted loudly. Brother, he can't hold it in anymore. Kill him, kill Witch Chu, Brother Ni will reward you with $1 million. The younger brother's eyes, which had already lost their will to fight, turned red again after hearing this. Looking at the other party who was vomiting blood on the ground, it was estimated that the madness just now was just a flashback, and now was a good time to take action. The remaining 5 or 6 people raised their weapons in their hands again, and suddenly, the boy with the weapon hidden on his head waved, "Don't worry. Be careful that. He's pretending, use my guard bow to kill him." After he finished speaking, he started to put the darts into the cylinder. A crooked smile appeared on the corner of Yao Han's mouth at this time. These people were very cautious. However, his body could not move anymore. And all his strength had been exhausted in a few strokes just now. At this moment, his body was in unbearable pain, as if he had been tortured by Ling Kai, and there was no good place in his body. He took out his mobile phone with his last bit of strength and sent a voice message to the little girl guarding downstairs, "Big sister. Chu is having trouble, come soon." Yao Han leaned against the wall and sat slumped on the ground, waiting for his answer. At the last minute, maybe I shouldn't have been so brave. If I had asked for help earlier, the ending would have been different. Go or not. If he let Xu Binger or Zhang Lu stay, after reminding each other, he might not be able to avoid the attack of the sneak arrows. Perhaps, relying on others for a long time won't hurt. There was a sigh beside my ear. Yao Han was taken aback for a moment. He thought it was his own voice, but it was obviously not. Thank you for your hard work, Xiao Yao Shi. I'm late. Mobile phone users, please browse and read. It's more convenient to read on the palm of your hand. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 87, Aftermath. Little Yao Zi, there shouldn't be a second person in this world who can call himself. Yao Han turned his head in surprise and saw a thin figure push the door open and walk out. Chu Yao was still wearing a blue and white striped hospital gown. Her steps were quite fluffy, and she slowly moved away while leaning against the wall. Yao Han just wanted to loudly warn her not to come out, but the next second, he suppressed his own words. Because this elder Chu dared to make a move, he must have a trump card, otherwise he wouldn't have done such a reckless thing. Since she said she would leave it for now, then she would. Yao Han felt extremely relaxed, and his body also relaxed, wanting to see how Chu Yao would deal with the remaining enemies. Come out, the Witch of Chu is in front of you, let's go. The gazes of the few remaining Haofeng gang members looked at Chu Yao as if they were looking at a large box filled with banknotes. The yellow-haired boy casually threw the arrow in his hand onto the ground, picked up the machete that had fallen on the ground, and quickly got up, afraid that others would take offense. It's so loud, I don't know if the patient wants to rest. Chu Yao didn't have any expression on her face. And even the bloodstains of the amputated limbs all over the ground didn't surprise her much. She was used to such scenes. End your life. Huang Fa's little brother held the machete in both hands and raised it above his head, rushing towards Chu Yao 3 steps at a time. Just as the blade was about to touch Chu Yao's forehead, she sighed and whispered softly. Ding! The sound was not loud, but everyone heard it clearly as if there was magic in the corridor, echoing. The 5 members of Haofeng's gang who rushed forward maintained the posture of gritting their teeth and clawing and stopped moving. They were frozen by a strange force, only their eyes could move. They did not know what was happening, as if they had been poured cold water on their heads. Finally, the greed in their eyes calmed down, revealing an inexplicable panic. Yao Han, who was watching from the sidelines, was filled with beauty in his eyes. He could quickly tell that this was a fixation technique. This spell was not common in the cultivation world because it was not very useful in the same level of combat skills. Only when there was a huge difference in the 2 parties' cultivation bases. Could the party with a deeper cultivation base use this technique to stop the actions of the person with a shallower cultivation base? But if used on humans, it was a dimensional reduction. Chu Yao yawned, stepped over the corpses all over the ground, and walked to Yao Han's side. Can you move? I can't. Yao Han tried to support himself but found it difficult and his whole body was burning. Okay, lend me the spider legs in your hand. Yao Han was stunned for a long time before realizing that Chu Yao wanted his black knife, so he reached out and handed it to him. Chu Yao took the black knife and weighed it in his hand, then slowly walked towards the yellow-haired boy, and the black knife stabbed into his chest without showing off. Yao Han thought she was going to cast some spell, but he didn't expect to return to the basics. Chu Yao walked slowly among the crowd, stabbing the black knife into the bodies of these trapped people continuously. It didn't seem like killing people, but it was like taking a walk in a garden, picking up a few beautiful flowers from time to time. They just picked up the blood-colored flower. Waiting for these people to be stabbed by Chu Yao again, the movement fixation technique was released. And all 5 of them sank into a pool of blood at the same time. Why are they so strong? It's so hard to stab. Chu Yao gasped a few times, wiped the blood-stained black knife on his younger brother's body, and returned it to Yao Han. Elder Chu, are you alright? No one was around, and Yao Han still used his original address. It's fine now, but the spiritual power is still a bit lacking. You still have the mood to ask me? Why are you working so hard? Are you so desperate? Chu Yao lightly flicked Yao Han's forehead with his finger. In her eyes, these juniors were still children. I was careless, my eyes were full of blood. I'm just saying, if your level increases by another 20, it won't be a problem. Chu Yao took out a small storage bag from the infirmary and took it out. He took out a bottle of elixir and poured a bottle for Yao Han. This was not the blood-soaked pill she made herself, but an ancient medicine she had obtained from the spider cave earlier. There was still some left. How long have I been asleep? What's the situation in the gang? Less than a day. Yao Han took the longevity pill and swallowed it into his stomach, feeling that the pain seemed to have eased a lot. He didn't expect Chu Yao to wake up so early. Looking at her injuries, he thought that she would have to lie down for 10.5 days. But when he thought about it, she was a cultivator now, and he felt relieved. This gang is fighting with the Haofeng gang. You can watch the gang. Are they fighting? Tell me. So Yao Han told her everything that happened during the time that Chu Yao was in a coma. They were still talking here, and finally the little girl arrived late. Seeing the bloody corpses and torn limbs all over the ground, many people's faces were very ugly. The two of them were leaning against the wall and had already vomited. Chu, Sister Chu, are you awake? The little girl walked over with a face paler than Chu Yao after vomiting. Have you finished vomiting? After vomiting, send Sister Yao to the doctor. The rest of you should clean up. By the way, don't spread the news of my waking up. Brother Chu, have you cleaned up yet? How? They looked at this corridor like hell on earth, their hands and feet were numb. Sirens were heard from the distance outside the window, and it seemed that a car from the Law Enforcement Bureau had arrived. This time, the movement is quite large, and it might be related to the gang. Yao Han shrugged. He didn't want to do it either, but the current situation made him unable to hold back. If he didn't let go, it wouldn't be these people who would fall to the ground. It's fine, I have a solution. Xiao Yao Zi, you go treat your wounds first. Chu Yao took out her phone and started sending messages. The little girl volunteered to help Yao Han walk to the stairs. Brother Yao, did you kill everyone on the ground? The little girl whispered excitedly into Yao Han's ear. No, it's mostly because of Sister Chu. Oh, don't joke. Sister Chu is injured and can't walk. Yao Han smiled without restraint. As long as you follow the routine I taught you, you can do it too. By the way, there's a cylinder next to that yellow-haired man, help me hold it. The little girl took it. After passing that, the two chatted and left. Chu Yao was also supported by the little girl and returned to the ward with a message. Leaving the three clawed girls to continue. What should we do? Can these people be thrown into the morgue? I don't know if you ask me, it's too scary. By the way, there seem to be a few people from Maowaitang on the 8th Ring Road. Why don't you call them? They are better than us. I'll call the leader, team over there. But you can't just leave it like this. Find something to cover yourself first. Quote, okay, I'll go to the storage room over there. After a few people chatted, they started getting busy. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 88 Investment. Chu Xiaoyi, you can really find me a job. Shen Yu knocked on the door and walked into the ward. Today, he didn't wear his usual clothes but a sea blue court uniform. Holding a bouquet of colorful flowers in his hand, he looked like he was visiting a sick person. Aren't we allies? We help each other. Chu Yao was lying on the bed lazily, swiping her phone. This is the 6th Ring Road, not your dark street. So many people died at the same time. Do you think it's that easy? Shen Yu handed over the bouquet of flowers and Chu Yao took it with her hand. After looking at it twice, she didn't pay any attention to the bedside. Why don't you like it? These flowers can't be used as medicine. Quote. Shen Yu was a little speechless to the Iron Maiden in front of her. This is our custom. Those who visit the sick must bring flowers. Quote. Next time, bring me some money. Chu Yao chatted with Shen Yu casually while swiping her phone. That's right, it's more realistic. Quote. Judging the current situation from the various flights in real time. News. It's like watching a TV drama with enthusiasm. If she was worried, she really wasn't worried. Chu Yao had confidence in Chen Qingyu's order. Oh, I've sent everything I told you to your mobile phone. Don't forget to read the information about body modification. Seeing Chu Yao playing with her mobile phone, Shen Yu suddenly thought of this. Okay, she squinted at Shen Yu who had found a chair and sat down. What are you doing sitting there? I need to recuperate. Go quickly. Chu Yao started to chase people away again. Don't you care about your allies? How did you get injured? It wasn't like Chu Yao liked to chase people away, but she really didn't trust Shen Yu. Although they had achieved a superficial cooperation, Chu Yao still had doubts about his words of restoring the Shen family. This person must be hiding something and there might be other purposes. If you blindly trust him, you might not know that you will be used as a gun at that time. However, maybe you can find a chance to trick him. Bomb with a bomb, Chu Yao said softly. Bomb? Shen Yu was taken aback. It seems that you are not easy to be the leader of this gang. You have been plotting against the Tube all day. The last time was the Bloody Alliance. Who is it this time? The Haofeng gang? The Liunan gang? You don't have to worry about this, right? According to our cooperation, I am responsible for the development and you are responsible for the ordinary things. We don't owe each other anything. Development? A good internet meme. Quite suitable, but one size counts one size. This time, the hospital has to put in a lot of effort and you owe me a favor. Finally, it's the point, right? Chu Yao temporarily put down his phone, rolled his eyes and seemed to know what he was going to say. Do you want to invest in Chu Pharmaceutical? Shen Yu showed a look of surprise but quickly returned to normal. You must be over 18. Don't ask, this matter. Don't be so quick to deny it. Shen Yu interrupted Chu Yao's words. Your pharmaceutical factory has just started and it will require a lot of investment. I only have some spare money on hand. At least the financial expenses of the Cattail gang can be alleviated, right? Even if you don't think about yourself, in addition to the capital, I can also provide you with manpower. How about that? Chu Yao's words paused. Shen Yu pointed out her weakness. Ring, although this precision made her feel a little uncomfortable. But what he said was the truth. The Maowei gang was currently in the development stage and was at war with the Haofeng gang. They needed money everywhere, so they should save as much as they could. As the gang leader, Chu Yao could be said to be more important than anyone else to the Maowei gang that she had raised with her own hands. She had thought about it carefully, and it wasn't a bad thing, as long as he wasn't the leader. How much reserve money do you have? Shen Yu gestured with her palm. 500,000? Add another 0. That's a lot of money? The experimental product hasn't come out yet, so aren't you afraid that the money will be wasted? She had no doubt that Shen Yu could come up with the money. Since he dared to say it, it shouldn't be pointless. I believe in its potential. So what? It's hard to find a generous donor like me in Tianhai City. Quote, alright, let's put it this way first. As for the specific details, such as the contract, you have to ask me for help, accountant. After being in the Heaven and Man Society for so long, Chu Yao's words became more and more like a businessman. But I have a question to ask. Say it, smiling, I think I'm good. Very satisfied that this investment was successful. Originally, he thought that he would need to spend more time talking, but he did not expect that Chu Yao would happily agree. As for the contract, he was not worried. As long as Chu Yao, the headmaster, spoke, everything would be fine. Is this Shen Yu's personal investment or your Shen family's investment? What's the difference? I'm from the Shen family. Shen Yu did not directly answer Chu Yao's question. Oh, then, is this Shen family Shen Yu's Shen Yu family or your father's Shen Dong's Shen family? Shen Yu's eyes lit up. This has nothing to do with our cooperation, Chu Xiaoyi. Isn't taking care of the alliance enough? Chu Yao replied with a smile according to what Shen Yu said just now. Whether Shen Yu chose to answer this question or not, Chu Yao already knew the answer from his reaction. The young man played tricks with the ghost ancestor, you are still a little gentle. It's fine, at least I have to know who my partner is. Chu Yao asked indifferently. You think too much, I just took out my pocket money to invest, however, I have nothing to do with this Lingyuan star. Then my partner, is you Shen Yu instead of the Shen family? You don't have to be so aggressive, Chu Xiaoyi, it seems you don't want 5 million? Seeing that, Shen Yu was slightly worried, the smile on the corner of Chu Yao's mouth did not decrease, and he could not tell, worry-free. I am not in a hurry, these things will be put on paper later, let's make it clear, it is good for me and you. Or afraid to say? Shen Yu was silent for a moment, Chu Yao was not in a hurry and looked at him with a smile. He pondered for a moment and suddenly smiled bitterly. I really underestimated you, Chu Xiaoyi. At this moment, Shen Yu only realized that she had unknowingly fallen into the other party's trap. And his true purpose may have been guessed by the other party by more than half. Now we are grasshoppers on the same rope. Chu Yao reached out to Shen Yu. The future is bright, Mr. Shen. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 89 Reflection. Shen Yu did not chat anymore, and after a few chats, she stood up and said goodbye. Chu Yao sent out lazily when he saw Shen Yu's expression that did not dare to say too much, the smile on his face still did not decrease. Although the two had cooperated before, Chu Yao was actually in a rather indifferent state. Since Shen Yu had her in his arms, Chu Yao had nothing to do with him. Her so-called death spirit seal may not have shocked him, but now it was different. She had deceived Shen Yu out of tricks. He asked him to cooperate, not to restore the Shen family. Mostly, he wanted to pull the old man down from his horse and change himself. Chu Yao did not care about this kind of drama of filial piety of the father and filial son and their family conflicts. She had seen many power struggles within the family, whether it was in Feng Yuan or in the Society of Heaven and Man, there was no difference in essence. What she cared about was his reaction. Since he did not dare to reveal his calculations, it meant that he and his family did not hold each other back, and this was also Chu Yao's excuse to threaten him in return. In the game of joint use, she finally took the initiative. Up until now, their cooperation was really fair. Chu Yao stood up, opened the curtain, and stretched. She temporarily covered up the news of her awakening, and wanted to see how far the gang members could go without her. Many people in the gang still needed attention, and it was impossible for her to handle everything by herself, so she had to let them go at the right time. However, this incident made Chu Yao think of. She began to recall the details of what happened on the day of the explosion, and analyzed her mistakes from that incident. First of all, Princess Yi's security clearance was so loose that a little girl could carry a bomb in her school bag. This was something that had to be avoided in the future. It was impossible for her to rely on use her instinct to save lives every time. Second, regarding how to deal with the bomb, she was too impatient at that time and wanted to throw it away, but unfortunately it was affected. Actually, calm down and think about it. There are other methods now, such as using a small teleportation technique to separate the gunpowder. It will take time. To summarize these 2 points, I still underestimated the weapon technology of Heaven and Man. The second before she threw the bomb, she never thought that she would be seriously injured. Now that she thought about it, she still had a lingering fear. If it was a few seconds later, not only herself, but the entire gang of the upper class would be buried with her. My own carelessness and misunderstanding of the bomb's power were the cause of this tragedy. The gang's smooth development caused her to lose her vigilance, and she never expected that the Haofeng gang would use this method. Although the monk's ability was useful, it was not omnipotent. She made 2 mistakes on this point. The last time was to misjudge Shen Yu's strength. This kind of thing must not happen a third time. But then again, if one's cultivation was high enough, one could still easily dispose of the bomb. Chu Yao returned to the hospital bed and sat quietly, looking inside to observe the situation in her body. She had recovered a little bit of spiritual energy while resting, which showed the magical effects of the underworld art, but the process of self-recovery was very slow. This slow recovery of spiritual energy was only enough for the suppression technique. The blood circulation was sluggish and the organs and bones showed signs of fracture. Fortunately, there were no serious wounds. As long as there was enough time to rest, recovery was not a problem. Question. But it was better not to use spiritual energy for a while. Chu Yao thought of another thing, which was the threat from the Bloody Alliance. Although Zhou Cheng was dead, she still could not conclude that he was the one who offered the reward for her assassination. With his current state, he might not be able to withstand the next assassination. Not only cultivation, I also need additional methods to save my life. Chu Yao reached into his storage bag and took out a sword hilt and a light machine gun. These two things are not enough, you must bring more weapons with you. This matter should be handled early. Chu Yao took out the elixir and took it herself, put away her weapon, and lay down on the bed. Then she thought of something, turned on her phone, and found Shen Yu. I didn't have time to look at the documents he sent earlier. The document was quite formal, and there were pictures, which roughly explained the body modification technology. Body modification is a surgical procedure, and the original prototype is a prosthetic leg, which is a prosthetic leg specially designed for the disabled to facilitate their lives. With the advancement of neuroscience and nanotechnology, body modification has gradually become a niche technology under the promotion of the market, which can replace parts of the human body's torso and organs with machines. The purpose of modification has also changed from purely medical assistance to serving the market. When this technology was first introduced to the public, there was a big trend called body fever. Some young people and mechanical enthusiasts would take the initiative to transform for faith or to show their uniqueness. Later, some military equipment companies discovered the potential of body modification, turning the human weapon from impossible to possible. After the mercenaries or soldiers serving in the large company were transformed, the mechanical parts of the body could be equipped with weapons. The half-human, half-mechanical ones could extend the automatic rifle from the mechanical arm at any time, or from the machine's artificial eye to shoot out a laser beam. This caused serious social security problems. The Great Council and the Secret Council immediately issued a series of related policies and regulations, and the use of technology was restricted to a small number of companies. However, private body modification was repeatedly banned, and there were shadows of these modification people in the main galaxies of the celestial civilization. Except for Yuanying Star, it was in the Gongai Galaxy, and it was the type of planet with the most backward technology. The reason for the backwardness might be that the Yali company did not have enough financial resources and chose the slow development planning path. But it seemed that there was no such thing. Chu Yao thought of Huang Long's mechanical arm, and he probably understood what was going on. On another page of the document, Shen Yu also briefly mentioned the concept of magical energy. Chu Yao scratched her head. It seemed that she had heard this many times before. The first time seemed to be when Lu Xiaoyi told herself the history of heaven and man. The beginning of heaven and man civilization was the invention of the steam engine and magic stone technology. Shen Yu's description is also closely related to the magic term, magic stone technology. Magic stone. It is a type of mineral that is hidden deep beneath the Earth's surface, it does not circulate. Its chemical composition and crystal structure are different from any other known mineral. Therefore, after more than 2,000 years, the research on magic stones is still ongoing. Although it has not been studied in detail, it cannot be used without delay. Magic stones naturally contain a large amount of magic energy. The ancestors of heaven and man discovered that applying this magic energy technology to gunpowder weapons can produce remarkable results. And for some reason, magic energy seems to be the natural nemesis of psychics, so they created magic stone weapons through repeated training. Arm. With the development of magic stone technology up to now, there are magic weapons and rockets that can destroy countries. But they stopped there. Because magic stones cannot be reused, they can only be classified as chemical fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas, and gradually replaced by new energy sources. Chu Yao took it very seriously. After all, this was a rare opportunity to learn more about the world of celestial beings beyond Yuanying Star. Although this was common sense to many people, it was also necessary to understand common sense. At the end of the information, Shen Yu left a small remark. In fact, in addition to body modification, there are also more convenient things, such as mechas that can be worn on the body. The use of magic power is not limited to the aircraft. Floating in the sky, magnetic levitation aircraft, orbiting trains, interstellar warships, laser beams and antimatter bombs. Do you want to know all the information? It's all in Mr. Shen's small encyclopedia class. The goal of unlocking the classroom, dominate the Yuanying Star. Accordingly, a smiling face of a kitten was drawn. Chu Yao pursed her lips. She dared to say it. However, after receiving a lot of information for a while, Chu Yao closed her eyes and she needed to clear her mind. The nemesis of psychers is a heaven-defying thing. What is this magical stone? Mobile phone users, please browse and read. It is more convenient to read on the palm of your hand. I became popular in StarCraft. Chapter 90 Encirclement and Destruction. How is it possible? It's been almost a day. Why is there no news yet? In the war room of the Longfeng building on the 10th Ring Road, Wang Yu's face was slightly dignified. Ni Haofeng and the several officers in charge of the command also looked ugly. Although they had sent people to capture the Maowei gang, the other party's firepower was not weaker than their own, and the three sides of the defense line had retreated time and time again. Brother Wang, didn't you say that you had sent people to kill Chu Xiaoyi? Why is there still no news? Seeing that his territory in the 10th ring was shrinking, his face was very worried. Something might have happened. They have more hands behind their backs than we thought. However, delaying won't do. Oh, it's time. Brother Wang, don't be fooled. It won't be too late after the Cattail gang rushed into the Dragon and Phoenix building, and we will all be finished by then. If you have a backhand, hurry up and use it. It's safe, brother. Wang Yu tapped twice on his phone. At least this few hours of delay has let us know how many people are on the other side. The reason Wang Yu was so patiently defending was because he was unclear about the Maowei gang's personnel distribution. The critical moment between the two sides, he had already learned the number of people on the opposite side and the leader through his younger brother's informant at the front line. I have a dangerous move, I wonder if brother Ni dares to take it? Let's talk first. Wang Yu stretched out his arm and pulled out a large cross near the electronics factory on the map. Then the arrow moved from the electronics factory to the west. This is. According to the informant, the Maowei gang sent about 500 troops this time, which is almost the same as our combat force. But the 500 people are not divided into 3 equal groups. A 2 is marked on the right, but 1 is written on the left. Chen Qingyu is in charge of the central road, Xu Binger is in charge of the east road, and Gong Xiaoran, the deputy leader of the Maowei gang, is in charge of the west road. According to our previous information, although this Gong Xiaoran is the deputy gang leader, he is the leader of the Maowei gang. The peace faction is indecisive and useless. It can be seen from the deployment of the opposing side's troops and generals. It is estimated that Chen Qingyu felt that our defense line on the west road was weak, so she was assigned this task and we can take advantage of this. Quote, Wang Yu knocked twice on the left side of the map. Since the central road has been dragged all the way, there will be hand-to-hand combat, so we just abandon the electronics factory, mobilize all the troops on the central road to the west side, and use several times the number of people to fight each other. They will eat it. Under the increasing pressure, Gong Xiaoran will inevitably lose his position, and we will take advantage of the situation to break the situation. Whether it is going north or east, it is a good choice. But won't Chen Xingyu come to help him? It depends on whether he dares to come. A sneer appeared on Wang Yu's face. If we don't help him, we will follow the original plan and eat hundreds of people in the breakthrough. You can still catch him off guard when he makes a move. It's really a dangerous move. Ni Haofeng squinted his eyes and thought for a long time. The key is whether we can put enough pressure on the enemy on the west road. Yes, as Brother Ni said, it is the key. Wang Yu quietly flattered him. We now have 180 guards on the 3 roads. I suggest mobilizing 100 people directly from the electronics factory to the west road. 280 people. Nearly 300 people are safe. Bet. The situation is urgent and it seems that you can't take risks. Ni Haofeng called out, I will do as you say. Western 10th Ring Road. Sister Xiaoran, I understand why you have been absent-minded recently. Lin Wu was wearing a purple martial arts uniform with a peacock tail ribbon tied around her head and a long sword hanging from her back. Her permanent costume. After being trained by Chu Yao and other masters in Maoyatong, she finally discovered her interest and talent in martial arts, immersed in the world of boxing and couldn't control herself. She used to be introverted and not good at talking, but after a long period of training and fighting, she became more and more cheerful, and her overall mood had changed greatly compared to before. Huh? You mean me? No. Gong Xiaoran looked confused and stunned for a moment before realizing that Lin Wu was calling her. The two walked through the crowd of Maowei gang, heading in the intended direction. It was almost dusk, the sky was gradually darkening, and a red light was shining from afar. And they were deep into the Haofeng gang's remote territory. Except for the slight interception from the Haofeng gang's younger brother at the beginning, the road was clear after that and there were no casualties in their team. Before the war started, Chen Qingyu had said that the Haofeng gang's defense on the west side was relatively empty, and it was true. Compared to the tragedy in the middle, their side seemed to be going smoothly. Don't worry, Sister Xiaoran. Uncle Chen is very smart. Our battle will definitely end. I hope so. Gong Xiaoran sighed softly. Lin Wu scratched her head. Seeing that Gong Xiaoran was very unhappy, she racked her brains, trying to make her happy. Sister Xiaoran, quickly raise your head. Do you think that cloud looks like it? It's like a hammer. Gong Xiaoran did not respond, but the girls around Lin Wu had strange expressions, trying not to laugh out loud. Thank you, Xiao Wu. I'm fine. I hope you're fine too. Sister Xiaoran, are you thinking of your daughter? Or are you thinking of Sister Erwin? It hit the bull's eye. Gong Xiaoran really missed Zhang Erwin. After the inner soul incident was resolved by Chu Yao, she still didn't know what to do with her former best friend. Gong Xiaoran used to trust Zhang Erwin a lot. When she was locked in a dark room by the Fishhead gang members, with Zhang Erwin's help, she didn't starve to death. Apart from concealing her identity as a priest, she talked to Zhang Erwin almost everything, talking about her dead husband and her daughter. It could be said that Zhang Erwin was both her best friend and her benefactor. She was the one who introduced Zhang Erwin to Chu Yao, but it was this benefactor who betrayed her. She was transferred from the headquarters in the middle of the night, used a mobile phone to forge information, and branded her a traitor. All of this was Zhang Erwin's handwriting. Sister Xiaoran, although I don't know what you think, but everyone knows about Sister Erwin, and she also has her own problems, and she was forced to do these things. Do you think Sister Chu is not you? Drive her away, she's a good person. Xiao Wu, I understand all this, I couldn't accept it for a while. She naturally understood Zhang Erwin's suffering. If she was in that situation and someone threatened her with the lives of her close relatives, she wouldn't know what to do. But she was still the deputy leader of the Maowei gang, just like Chen Qingyu. She watched the Maowei gang gradually grow stronger. The Maowei gang was like her second daughter. And half of her efforts were devoted to the gang. She gradually became a gentle master from a carefree fairy who didn't get close to fireworks, could remember everyone's name in the gang, and could also tell them their past encounters, their personalities and their hobbies. Zhang Erwin's actions failed because of Chu Yao's intervention, but what if she succeeded? A single piece of information could overthrow the battle and kill tens or hundreds of people. Gong Xiaoran would not allow this to happen. Zhang Erwin was truly pitiful, but when she knew that her actions had affected the lives of so many people, she still chose to compromise. She would rather let the Peacock gang die than keep her sister. Gong Xiaoran could accept Zhang Erwin's betrayal of herself, but she could not accept the betrayal of the Maowei gang or her choice. Is it hard to accept? I don't quite understand. Lin Wu scratched her head again. But I believe that everything will be fine. Brother Shaoran, after we finish this battle. Bang, 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 bang. Before Lin Wu could finish speaking, a gunshot rang out in front of her. The two of them were shocked and quickly sought cover with the nearby officers. A little girl ran out from the front with blood on her face. That's not good, Miss Gong. There are so many people in front of us all of a sudden.